Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev और प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद् शिला भाई चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Brinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda ki jai, Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Brinda ki jai, Bhagavad Gita Patkari Sutakari Bhakta Brinda ki jai, Bhagavan Krishna Chandra ki jai, Arjun Sakha Binda ki jai, Samavata Vaishnava Binda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari. Glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Prabhus and mothers, Prahladananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you.
You too, Pankaj.
Hare Krishna. So maybe you can begin with today we are starting chapter 9. So we can begin with the introduction and then one by one sloka. So nice to see you, Dhruv. We are opening the men's ashram, so we're going to need talk maybe sometime this week. Everybody can fold their hand and pray to Lord Vasudev to clear our consciousness so we can perceive the Lord's presence through his sound vibration, Bhagavad Gita. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Nastapradeshu Abhadreshu Nittam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Makankarti Vachalam Pangalangayati Girim Jatkipat Manam Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishtam. Hare Krishna, Prabhus and mothers. So we are beginning today with chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called the most confidential knowledge. If you remember, we discussed previously, the Bhagavad Gita, if you divide into 3 sections, just like a burger, the nutrition part of the burger is in the middle, and bottom and top is some kind of bread to make it delicious every bite you take. But the main nutrition is in the middle. So similarly, Prabhupada mentioned that first 6 chapters deals more with a karma to karma yoga, which is also Krishna consciousness beginning. And then Jnana Yoga, Mishra, these are all from 13 to 18. In between 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The 6 chapters are the most important because they are Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yogas are put into middle. And middle of the middle is chapter 9. This is a very important chapter. In Sanskrit, Lord Krishna did not give any name of any chapter. He did not even talk by the chapter. He talked as a conversation, counselor, mentor to Arjuna, who was going through big depression. I'm sure each one of us can reflect sometime in our life we felt such a depression or anxiety, worry. And Lord Krishna is the best psychiatrist, psychologist. How he handled. Of course, in one sense, you can say Krishna planned this. So Arjuna was put into illusion so that Bhagavad Gita can be spoken for the benefit of the entire world. Today, last year alone, just 1 year, ISKCON has distributed 2.5 million Bhagavad Gita all over the world. That's a lot of Bhagavad Gita. Probably last 30, 40 years, they didn't distribute that many like that. But since ISKCON started, it's like now it's growing more and more. And it's wonderful. Also, another way to look at it, Bhagavad Gita gives the direct identity, divinity of Lord Krishna, that no other scripture in this world today can compare. This is the only book where God directly declares his identity, his superiority. And you'll see in this chapter, he also reveals this confidential. So some teacher, like Prabhupada put this in English, Vyasdev said, Raja Guha Yoga. Raja Guha Yoga means king of knowledge, you can say. Raja means king. Guha is a confidential, so king of confidential knowledge. Srila Prabhupada writes the most confidential knowledge. Another Acharya, he says, yoga of hidden treasure. It's all pointing out same thing. Lord Krishna is the supreme Godhead and supreme object of worship. Each of us, we belong to him, soul is eternally related to him through transcendental devotional service, practice, bhakti. And by reviving our pure devotion, we can return to Krishna and go back to spiritual world. And forever we'll be happily living there, never have to come back to this world. That is also revealed by Krishna. So it's very exciting. I was digging some information about this chapter. I'm just giving a little brief what I read about different acharyas' commentary on this. One of Acharya says that Krishna begins this chapter with 3 verses, eulogizing the knowledge he will reveal. Here he wants to get Arjuna's undivided attention. So hopefully we all can give also undivided attention. As the knowledge to be revealed, it's very important. And furthermore, Krishna himself is filled with emotion as he begins to speak about that. By which he will be conquered. He's revealing the confidential, how you can conquer God. And he gives a very secret definition of pure bhakti. Original commentator, Sridhar Swami, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also respected a lot. Sridhar Swami said that Krishna, having first taught in the previous 2 chapters that he is attained through devotion alone, and by no other means introduced this chapter to expound his own incomprehensibly glory and I would say extraordinary power of devotion. So the wisdom Krishna imparts in this chapter is explained theoretically in scripture. It is the knowledge of his godhood, knowing which his devotee, through its application, devotion, it is most confidential, guhyatamam, and more so than the wisdom of the difference between matter and spirit. I had a nice conversation with a Christian minister couple. They're Lutheran church couple. And ultimate conclusion, they could not, they agreed God is the spirit, but is that spirit a male gender or female gender, or is just energy? Is a spirit is soul, soul is spirit, spirit is energy. So in that case, they, according to this couple minister's identity or explanation, they will come to the realization of Brahman, not even Paramatma, what to talk about Bhagavan. So it's very interesting. So wisdom Krishna imparts in this chapter is explained theoretically in scriptures. It is knowledge of his godhood, and once we understand this, then through its application, means we have to apply, gradually we'll experience, Prabhus and mothers, Krishna's sweetness in love. And being the knowledge of pure devotion, it is most confidential, guhyatamam, more so than the wisdom of the difference between matter and spirit. The realization of Brahman and Paramatma stressed in the first 6 chapters. And the culture of devotion mixed with karma, jnana, yoga mentioned in the previous 2 chapters. And it is the esoteric mystery of divine love that has surfaced here and there throughout the text, and particularly in the previous 2 chapters. And this is the essence of the Gita. Here it will be brought out in details, both its philosophical underpinning and practical application. So I would like a volunteer to, let's begin with a sloka number 1 of chapter 9, and let's see what Krishna reveals through that. Now 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 sloka. What I found is a discussion of one-pointed bhakti by knowledge about Krishna, the glory, knowledge about Krishna that will lead to pure devotional service. And then we'll go to the second section, 4 to 10. So today we'll start with 1. Who would like to read the first sloka?
May I do that, Prabhuji? Haribol?
Yes, Prahladananda Prabhu.
Okay. This is one of my favorites chapters, so I thought maybe let me.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, this is a beautiful chapter, actually. All right, so text number 1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Tute Guhyatamam Pravakshyam Yadusuyave Gnanam Vignana Sahitam Yajna Tva Mokshase Subha. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjun, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Prabhupada, as a devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The messages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed among devotees. This cannot be achieved by association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is realized knowledge. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna in the association of devotees. Discussion of Krishna is very potent, and if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement towards spiritual realization. Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this 9th chapter matters more confidential than any he has already disclosed. The very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. And in the 2nd and 3rd chapters, the spiritual knowledge described is called confidential. Topics discussed in the 7th and 8th chapters are especially related to the devotional service. And because they bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. But the matters which are described in the 9th chapter deal with the unalloyed pure devotion. Therefore, this is called most confidential. One who is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that although one who has a sincere desire to render loving service to the Supreme Lord is situated in the conditional state of material existence, he is to be considered liberated. Similarly, we shall find in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter that anyone who is engaged in that way is a liberated person. Now, this first word has a special significance. The word idam gnanam means this knowledge refer to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to the spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When one's heart is thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the science of Krishna. Simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. That may be the beginning of the spiritual realization, but one should recognize the difference between the activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands that he is not the body. In the 7th chapter, we already discussed the opulent potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different energies, the inferior and superior natures, and all this material manifestation. Now, in the chapter 9, the glories of the Lord will be delineated. The Sanskrit words anasuyave in this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately because they are envious of Krishna. Their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by the devotees of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, these chapters will be very beneficial. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Bol.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hari.
It's a very beautiful chapter, isn't it? So nice. Thank you. I found Bhaktivinoda Thakur's discuss that who can understand Bhagavad Gita and get the most benefit? He said, especially those who are non-envious. Now the question comes, how do you know if you are envy or not? So he gave a list of the things. Prabhus and mothers, we're not going to be judgmental or sentimental. For a time being, let's become transcendental and check our heart. Not checking anybody else. We are only checking our own heart. 10 points he gave. So first point he says, if you feel that you have no intention ever to make offense to another devotee, first. What you did in the past, like I did a lot of mistake in the past, I'm responsible for it. But from now and future. So first point he says, do you feel that you will not make any offenses to another devotee? Second, now don't put condition. Well, I will not make offense unless he or she does. No, that's not what it's saying. It just literally you have to accept that. Second, he says, does not consider the demigod to be independent, for his intelligence is absorbed only in Krishna. Yet he does not disrespect them. Very interestingly. Third, you show appropriate respect to the spiritual preceptor. Fourth, appropriately honoring the scriptures, Bhakti Shastra, like Bhagavad Gita, which includes the Shrutis, etc. The fifth he gives, you give up unnecessary argument and develop the faith that holy name and the possessor of the holy name are non-different. And you consider the holy name as the highest worshipable reality. Number 6, he says, does not engage in sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. That means this four regulative principle that we follow in ISKCON, by any means. What we did in the past, I'm not talking about it, but now and future, never break. Number 7, does not consider pious activities such as religious duty, vows, austerity, etc. to be equal to the holy name. Number 8, makes an effort to develop faith in the faithless, but does not instruct them about the holy name until the faith has awakened. Number 9, has complete faith in the glories of the holy name that is described in the scriptures. And number 10, does not identify himself with the material conception. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur requesting, O readers, non-envious alone is liberation and enviousness is entanglement. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 9, 361, it is said, Chaitanya Charita Suna Saddha Bhakti Kari Matsadya Charya Mukhe Bala Hari Hari. Endowed with full faith and devotion, listen to the life work of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Cast aside an envy and let your mouth sing Hari Hari, and you will get love of God. Thank you, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That was very nice. So I'm going to discuss this first verse a little more, breaking down the word to word, because this verse Prabhupada gave very importance. So word for word, Idam tetu guhyatamam. Idam tetu. O Arjuna, this I will speak to you. Guhyatamam. Guhya is confidential. Guhyatamam is most confidential knowledge. So the chapter titles comes from 9.1 and 9.2. The next verse also. Raja Guhyatamam. As we discussed earlier, Guhya refers to confidential. Guhyatara refers to more confidential, and Guhyatamam, Sanskrit, compatible, like comparative and superlative. So here, the word Guhyatamam, Krishna used few times in this chapter. Means bhakti alone, wherever it is used, is enough for everything. Some impersonalist tries to argue that higher than knowledge of personal absolute is the knowledge of impersonal absolute. But we will see repeatedly that Sri Krishna used the word Guhyatamam again and again to refer to the personal absolute and the devotion to the personal absolute. So the most confidential knowledge is not that there is something unborn within Krishna which has to be worshipped. No, it is Krishna who is to be worshipped. This morning we are discussing, Prabhus and Mothers, when you worship your deity, Krishna does not have a deity form. Krishna is the deity. Also, while we are worshipping, not like, okay, I'm worshipping now, then when I die, I'll go to Golok Vrindavan and real Krishna is there, I will be with Krishna. This deity is Krishna. If we do not have that connection, some impurities has to be dissolved. Means some impurity is still there. Three things: Krishna's Sarup in Golok, Krishna deity and name, they are Krishna himself. So in this verse, we see that Krishna used the word Prabhakshami Anushriyave. Arjun, you are non-envious, so I will speak to you. That means, in case if you ever wonder, when will I be able to speak to God? Well, Krishna is revealing here, the moment we are, the 10 tips that I gave, the moment we are free from them, these 10 non-envious status, then you will be able to really hear Krishna and converse. So generally, why does Krishna say that you are Anushriyave? What is the relationship between the two? Krishna and Anushriyave point. So Krishna has used this knowledge, something in also 4th chapter, I remember we read when Krishna told Arjuna that I'll speak this knowledge to you. Krishna said, I'll speak to you the knowledge which I had given to Vibhashan, the sun god, long ago. And then next verse, he said it was lost. So when Arjuna, Durjodhan, Dhritarashtra, this planet, when Krishna appeared, this Bhagavad Gita was lost also. That's why he again revived this. Now by the mercy of Prabhupada, it's all over the world. 2.5 million Bhagavad Gita distributed last year alone. So then Krishna says here, I will give you again, once again, because you are Bhaktoshi me sakha cheti. So devotion and envy are opposite emotion. Devotion to Krishna and envy to Krishna are just the opposite. In other words, if we don't feel attraction to Krishna, means some enviousness within our consciousness. Devotion means we rejoice in Sri Krishna's glory. Envy means we burn because Sri Krishna's glory, why Krishna is the controller of everything. Even myself asked, I remember, many years back, I had a trouble. I was thinking, why Krishna is doing this to me? Because Krishna is the supreme controller, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Ishvara Parama, supreme controller. Why do we burn like this? Because we feel that I wanted to be glorious. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be great. Why is Krishna so great? I wanted to be great too. So these two are opposite. Interesting how Krishna put this in this verse. So more devotion we understand Sri Krishna's glory, more and more our heart filled with it. So when we are in competition with Sri Krishna, instead of being in devotion, then the more we hear Sri Krishna's glory, the more we feel, no, I wanted to be like that. Why he is enjoying so much? See, if one is envy in hearing about Krishna, if such people hear more of his glory, then their envy will increase more and more. That is reason Krishna does not reveal glory to the envious. So he is enjoying so much. We think like this. Just like this educated Indian professor, he was with his wife and Prabhupada also in the same train. They are going towards Kumbh Mela. So this professor, he is educated materially, but spiritually was not educated. He was envious to Krishna. How is that? So he came to the compartment where Prabhupada was, and he was thinking with his wife, he's going to ask them how he's making them devotee of Krishna when Krishna dances with others' wife. That's exactly how he approached to Prabhupada. Maharaj, how you are explaining to your student about the God who is dancing with others' wife. That's why I have a difficult to accept Krishna as a supreme God. So Prabhupada says, well, you do not know about Krishna in truth. Because Krishna is the possessor, owner of everything and everyone. Krishna has an unlimited girls, serves him, including any girl that you know. And one of the girl you have stolen from him and you claim as your wife. And she was right next to him. So long you have this mentality, you will not understand Krishna's position. Of course, he was gentleman, he understood, he didn't further argue about it and just got off from the train, left. So Krishna does not want to cause the envious to even become more offensive, to burn more, or to create more spiritual misfortune for themselves. Therefore, Sri Krishna does not reveal his glory to the envious. If we ever feel like we don't understand Krishna very well, means the envy is there. And that's a fact. As long as we have that envy mood, we will not understand Krishna. If we feel we have a love for Krishna, then that means the envy usness disappeared or disappearing. If we don't feel attraction to Krishna, means envy. This is a one first sloka of this chapter. It's literally clear the path, very clear. Sri Krishna reveals this glory to those who are non-envious. It is not that Krishna wants to hide his glory to anyone. Not that Krishna wants to keep this spiritual knowledge confidential, deliberately. Actually, the confidentiality of the knowledge is simply a means to protect those who are envious to him from creating further miseries to themselves. So that's why that word, Prahladananda Prabhu just read, Anushuyave. So I speak this to you, Arjuna, because you are non-envious. Jnanam Vijnanam Swahitam. Now I am giving this knowledge to you, knowledge and realization, Jnanam and Vijnanam. So till now, Sri Krishna has used this compound word, Jnanam Vijnanam, twice in Bhagavad Gita. He has used these once before, Jnana Vijnanam Triptatma, Kutastha Vijitendriya 6.8. Now he put it again. He said that one who has acquired knowledge and realization, that person become satisfied. Tripta Atma. That person becomes satisfied. Similarly, Krishna has used Jnanam Vijnanam again in the same 7th chapter. Some of you may remember. He was describing the glory of the knowledge. He's giving there also, he says 7.2, Jnana Vijnana don't come together but comes in sentence. Jnanam te aham sa vijnanam. So Krishna says that I will give this knowledge to you. What will happen with this knowledge if you get it? He says, actually, this is complete knowledge. Once you know this, there will be nothing more to know. And I remember Srila Prabhupada also wanted his followers, we all are his followers, were scientifically trained to present Krishna consciousness, scientifically to the world. For that purpose, he wanted them to start a magazine event. And in Gainesville, right, next to our, we have a BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute. Now we have a few hundred members. It was almost like a non-operating since Prabhupada left, but it now reawakening with a lot of students, PhD students join. So the devotee from Bhaktivedanta Institute were trying to run the magazine. So Jivanam, they asked Prabhupada, can we call it Vijnanam? No. Sri Jnanam, said Srila Prabhupada, the word Vijnanam is used as science in today's world. But Bhagavad Gita used the word Sri Jnanam to indicate that actually this knowledge with realization. Is Sri Jnanam. So Jnana refers to the theoretical knowledge. But it is not theoretical knowledge. The process of Bhakti Yoga offers not just theoretical knowledge of Krishna's glory, but experiential and transformational realization of the sweetness of his glories. Is Sri Jnanam. So here also, Sri Krishna is saying, Jnanam Vijnanam Sahitam. Sri Krishna is saying that what will happen by this Jnanam Vijnanam Sahitam, Jadgatta Mokshasya Ashubhat. Mokshasya Ashubhat, when we understand this knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, we will become free from all inauspiciousness. Ashubhat. When we do inauspicious activities, it will bring misery in future. So Mokshasya Ashubhat, that means you will not do any activity which will lead to misery in future. In other words, Prabhu's and Mother, is not that Krishna going to do it. Krishna going to give you the knowledge and understanding, realization that you will not, I will not do this. Becoming devotee doesn't mean Krishna will remove all the obstacle on our path. No, Krishna will walk through with us and we will remove, we will walk through the difficulties. This is exactly what he did with Krishna, Arjuna. When Arjuna surrendered finally, 1873, Krishna didn't tell, okay, now I'll kill them. You can sit down. No, Arjuna had to kill. But Krishna was guiding through as a spiritual master, guru, and Arjuna was disciple because he surrendered to Krishna that time. So that's how our life will be. We will lead a devotee life, devotional life, that Krishna from within, through scriptures, Sadhu Guru Shastra, 3-way, is going to guide us. And our motive will be only one. Krishna Seva Vasana, desire to please Krishna through service. Because Krishna does not necessarily say that you will become free from all misery now. In this world, we cannot become free from all miseries entirely. And immediately it is like when we are sick. You know, for an example, when we are sick, we all have to undergo miseries because of sickness. Now, if we are taking the treatment, medicine, say doctor gave us the medicine treatment, then gradually, not overnight, gradually as we keep taking the treatment, we'll become free from sickness and we'll become free from disease. Then we'll become free from misery. So if at the time of sickness, we do activities which aggravate the sickness, then the misery will increase. But if at that time we take the proper medicine, then what will happen is the disease will gradually be cured. And we won't be doing anything which will increase our misery. So in that sense, here it says, Jadgatta mokshase shubhat, you will become free from inauspicious activities. Means within you, you'll feel Krishna guiding, you won't do any bad activities. Bad activities means it will lead to misery in future. Now we may wonder how Sri Krishna give Gyan and Vigyan. Normally, knowledge somebody else can give, but realization is something we have to get, isn't practically? So how it can be said that Krishna will give knowledge and realization both? Actually, realization is something which we only have to get, but Krishna can give us process by which we can get realization. So when the process is given, then the process helps us to apply it. Say Gyan is like a diagnosis and Vigyan is like a prescription. When we go to a doctor, I am having pain in the stomach. Then doctor gives an elaborate 45-minute talk about the different kind of problem that can be there in the stomach, that can cause pain. Then give description of what is the specific problem in our stomach also. And says, now you can go, your time is over. So we will say what? I just don't want to know what is wrong. I wanted to know how it can be set right. So a diagnosis is not of much use without a prescription. I hope you all understand that. So Sri Krishna says, Jnana Vijnana Sahitam, means that he gives diagnosis and prescription. When the patient takes the prescription, then by the patient will get cured. So here he says, Jad Gyatta Mokshase Ashubha. We will become free from misery, Mokshase Ashubha. When you become free from misery, you become supremely happy by that. So that will come gradually. Now let us look at Srila Prabhupada's purport, Prahladananda Prabhu read briefly. So first Srila Prabhupada mentioned about glories of hearing, then Srila Prabhupada gives summary of what is going in Bhagavad Gita. The word idam jnanam, this knowledge, idam is the first line and jnanam in the third line. What is this idam jnanam? Sri Krishna has used similar word in the previous chapter, last word, idam viditva. That once you understand this, Arjuna, then you will get result of all jnana. Tapa, everything. Not only you will get something more, also param, sthanam, upeti, cha adittam. You will get the parama sthanam. Also, Sri Krishna is saying that you will get all this just by understanding this knowledge. Understanding includes realization. As the chapter will unfold, we will see that Sri Krishna is referring to Bhakti Yoga itself. Prabhupada, another place, Prabhupada says, understanding means stand under. Means you are follower of your Guru, Krishna. Not on your own you will comprehend. So you have to analyze and comprehend by standing under your Guru, spiritual master Prabhupada. Then we will understand. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that idam jnanam refers to the knowledge of pure devotional service. And he lists the 9 elements. So if you look at it, now this first verse has specific significance. Idam jnanam, this knowledge, referred to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities. What are those? Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dashyam, Satkamatma, Nivedanam. Hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, surrendering everything. Then Prabhupada talks about spiritual realization. He mentioned that simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. I like the way Prabhupada wrote. So nice. That may be the beginning of the spiritual realization. Vijnanam is, but one should recognize the difference between activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands that he is not the body. Just like we are chanting Hare Krishna. It's not for the body in one sense. It is the food for the soul. Service to the holy name to Krishna. Then Prabhupada explains, Anusuya way. Now going to overview of chapter 9, this chapter is very similar to the chapter 7, except it is more confidential. 7, 1, 2, 3 talks about the glories of the knowledge. And Arjuna is given, starts from the Mai Ashakta Manapartha. If you ever thought, should I withdraw my enjoyment from external and then understand or experience the internal? Or I should have the internal experience, then automatically proportion to external enjoyment will go down? Well, Prabhus and mothers, don't focus on either one. Krishna says, focus on hearing about him. Maya Shakta Manapartha Jogam Junjam Madasraya. Asamsa Samagram Mam Jata Geshashi Tat Srinu. Srinu. Just listen about me, hear about me, try to understand about me. Then something will transform within. We will be thinking in a different way. We will be experiencing different way. We'll develop a discriminating power. Not that once we are advanced, that we are free from everything. No, 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 no. But the Falgu Jukta Nahiyo Bhaviyo Ekakar Shab. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, what will bind me and what will liberate me, we should be completely clear. Thinking of the opposite sex will bind me. Thinking of the enjoying the material nature will bind me. Thinking of Krishna will liberate me. Thinking of bhakti or chanting Hare Krishna will liberate me. This discrimination will be very clear and we will progress very quick. Here is another Acharya said, very interesting. Here the word two indicates this knowledge is more confidential than which he has already described. That means up to 8th chapter, what he has described. So this Acharya is saying this knowledge is more confidential than others chapter. So back to this, to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says becoming free from the flaw of envy. And he says the word envy is applied in many places, is used in connection with the various things. Envy of another's good fortune. Prabhus and mothers, when Prabhupada had a conversation with Siddhaswarup Prabhu in Hawaii. So Siddhaswarup Prabhu says the envy is the biggest obstacle to advance in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, yes. So if someone has a rightful ownership to possess something, but in my mind I don't allow it, what is that? That is envy. That is the definition of envy, Prabhupada said. When someone has a rightful ownership to possess something, but in my mind I don't allow it, that means I'm envy. So then Siddhaswarup Prabhu says, I'm paraphrasing what I remember, many years back I read that. That means Krishna sanctioned that person to have this and I don't allow. So I am actually envy to Krishna. And immediately Prabhupada said, yes. When we are envious to another person, actually we are not only envious to that person, we are envious to God. Therefore, understanding Bhagavad Gita or grasping, advancing is becoming difficult because of this. It's interesting. He could have said so many things, but Krishna says envy is the biggest. And if you look at Bhagavatam, the second verse, the famous Dharma Prajita Kaita Batra Parama Nirmatsaranam Satam Matsarata. Matsarata in English, I was told somebody says many years back, says fishiness. Fishiness means in the world of aquatic, the big fish always eat the small fish. Not that necessarily they need to eat food, but they think this fish will become big and going to be competitive. Before he becomes big, I better eat it. So if I see another devotee advancing and I feel like it's like a threatening, oh, I'm not advancing, he's going before me, let's put him down or put her down. So many ways we can see this envy lingering in our heart. So we should be very, very careful not to do this. That's why Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter I say, Sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krudha vijayate, krudhat bhavati samhat, samhat smriti vibhrama. Smriti bhangshad, buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. So, means in the association with the material attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger develops or arises. From anger, delusion appears. Delusion means unlawful material greed. I can relate because I had this. From material greed, moha, bewilderment of memory appears. And from moha, intelligence is destroyed, which also I experience. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Which means that one becomes mad and bereft of understanding what is right and what is wrong. And by madness, one is destroyed, which means that the living entity becomes ruined by envy. Envy. See, Bhagavad Gita beginning, it says this, 2.62. 63, 2 verses. So even on 3rd chapter also Krishna mentioned, Evam buddhe param buddha samstadvatmanam atmanam jahi satru mahabahu kamarupa durashadam. O Almighty, mighty armed Arjuna, knowing that individual unit of consciousness to be superior to the intelligent, steady the mind with firm intelligence and conquer this indomitable enemy in the form of lust. So considering the living entity as fully spiritual, beyond intelligence, with determination and through proper siddhanta, by subduing the mind, one must conquer the formidable enemy of lust. And from all these instructions, it can be understood that these sprouts of lust arising due to the misconception of one's own Swarup, and in due course of its development becomes transformed into the tree of enviousness, and thereby the dharma of the jiva, which is prema, love, remains inapproachable. And there is a lust in anger, and in greed there is anger as well as lust. In illusion there is anger and lust. In madness there is a greed, anger and lust. In enviousness there is a madness, illusion, greed, anger and lust. So we may understand that the word mada referred to 6 types of bewilderment, which includes being intoxicated by one's beauty, one's caste, one's education, etc. All suffering of the jiva arise due to the enviousness and ignorance, the desire to commit sin, the desire to perform pious activity and pious activity, all these are included within envy. Scary, deeply when we think. So therefore, hopefully you all are free from envy, or you are working on it to get out of it. I'm also begging you all mercy, and please pray for me so I can get rid of completely envy. Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna, Prabhus and mothers. Any takeaway or any further? Prahladananda Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I read in another commentary somewhere, I remember that the same thing Bhagavan Krishna told to Brahmaji also in Srimad Bhagavatam. Gnanam paramam guhyam me yad vignan samanvitam. Sa rahasyam tad angani gruhan galitam maya. So it's kind of similar instructions.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Haribol Prabhu.
Yeah, it's a 2nd canto, 9th chapter, before the four Chatusloki. Yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah, very important verse also. Thank you, Prabhu. Any other? Everybody agreed?
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Somen Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, actually, initially you just told that that the main nutrition of Bhagavad Gita is lied within the middle of this book, and it has been subdivided into 3 parts. That you actually mentioned that it is beginning from that 1 to 6th chapter is the Karma Yoga, right, Prabhu? And 13 to 18 are the Jnana Yoga, and the chapters that is dealing with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, that refers to the Bhakti Yoga, right? And among which the chapter 9 is utmost important because it is referring to the most confidential knowledge to progress in the devotional path as spoken by the Lord Krishna.
Yeah. Good.
Right, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. That's correct. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhus and mothers. If no further question, I'm looking forward to see you all next Wednesday. Hare Krishna.
One final thing. This Prabhupada Maharaj is mentioning that the messages of Supreme Personality of God here are full of potency. Which sloka he is referring? I'm trying to find that out sometimes. He says,
In the purport, today's purport?
yes.
What is the word again?
He says the messages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies. And these potencies can be realized if topics regarding Supreme Personality are discussed among devotees. So which is look, I couldn't.
This 9th chapter.
Yeah, in the purport.
Yes,
the
yes.
Prabhupada
But
writing,
you know which
yeah.
one it is?
I don't know which slok is
The
that.
last
That's why I
one.
was
The last part, last sloka.
asking.
Manmana
Sri-
bhavamat bhakta.
no,
Majjaji
okay.
mam namaskuru. Because that sloka twice repeated in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada gives a very,
Right.
yeah.
But
Yes.
but my question is, Sri Prabhupada is writing in this purport that this hearing process is recommending Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he gives that translation of that Bhagavat slok. So I'm trying to find out which slok is that in Srimad Bhagavatam. The messages of the Supreme Personality are full of potencies. I think it is somewhere in the
There are,
second.
you can say few sloka. Prabhupada referred those slokas. Srinata Saddhaya Nittam Rinanta Sachestitam.
Uh-huh.
And there are few verses. It's a similar.
Okay. Shrunotam Sadhaya Nityam. I think that's
Yes,
the one, right?
yes.
Yeah,
The
okay.
famous
Oh,
verse.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's why I was looking for it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa taruvesya kripa sindhu paivacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.